Emily always found solace in estate sales, a treasure hunt through the remnants of other people's lives. There was something nostalgic and melancholic about sifting through old belongings, imagining the stories they held. This particular Saturday morning, she stumbled upon a grand estate sale in the outskirts of town. The sprawling mansion had an air of decay and mystery, drawing her in. Walking through the rooms filled with antique furniture, vintage clothing, and forgotten trinkets, Emily's eyes caught sight of a large, ornate mirror propped against a wall. Its gilded frame was intricately carved with vines and cherubs, and though the glass was slightly clouded with age, it held a mesmerizing allure. Interested in the mirror, a voice startled her from behind. Emily turned to see an elderly woman, the estate sales organizer, watching her with a peculiar intensity. "Yes," Emily replied. "It's beautiful." "How much?" The woman's eyes seemed to glint with something unspoken. "For you, dear, $50. But let me warn you, this mirror has a history." Emily chuckled, thinking it was a sales tactic. "What kind of history?" The woman's expression grew serious. "This mirror belonged to Abigail Crowley, the last owner of this mansion. She was a recluse, obsessed with the occult. It said she used this mirror in her dark rituals. Some believe it's cursed." Emily smiled politely, feeling a twinge of unease. "Well, I don't believe in curses. I'll take it." The woman nodded slowly, as if expecting this response. "Very well. It's yours." Emily hauled the mirror back to her apartment, placing it in her bedroom. It added a touch of elegance to the room, and she admired how it made the space feel larger and more luminous. That night, she fell asleep contentedly, unaware of the sinister presence she had invited into her home. The first few days passed uneventfully. Emily continued with her routine, glancing occasionally at the mirror, admiring its beauty. But soon, strange occurrences began to disrupt her tranquility. It started with subtle things, a misplaced object, an odd reflection she would catch out of the corner of her eye. She dismissed these as figments of her imagination, until one night, something undeniable happened. Emily was getting ready for bed, brushing her hair in front of the mirror, when she noticed her reflection wasn't quite matching her movements. She froze, her brush halting mid-stroke. The reflection smiled, a cold, malevolent grin, while Emily's own lips remained still. A chill ran down her spine. "Who are you?" Emily whispered, heart pounding. The reflection's smile widened, and then it spoke, though Emily's own mouth stayed closed. "I'm your true self, the one you've kept hidden away. And now, I'm going to take what's rightfully mine." Emily stumbled back, fear gripping her. "This isn't real. I'm dreaming." The reflection laughed, a sound that echoed through the room, sending shivers down Emily's spine. "Oh, it's very real, Emily." Emily fled the room, slamming the door behind her. She spent the night on the couch, unable to sleep, her mind racing with fear and disbelief. The next day, Emily called a friend, Sarah, hoping to find some rational explanation for what she had experienced. Sarah arrived shortly, her presence a comfort to Emily's frayed nerves. "It sounds like stress, Emily," Sarah said after listening to her story. "Maybe you're just overworked. Mirrors can play tricks on your mind, especially when you're tired." Emily nodded, wanting to believe her friend. "Maybe you're right. But it felt so real, Sarah. I'm scared to go back in there." "Let's go take a look together," Sarah suggested. "Sometimes, facing your fears head-on can help." Together, they entered the bedroom. The mirror stood innocently, reflecting their apprehensive faces. Sarah approached it, tapping the glass lightly. "See? Just a mirror," she said, turning to Emily with a reassuring smile. Emily's relief was short-lived. As she stepped closer, she saw it again, her reflection smirking while she herself stood terrified. Sarah's reflection remained normal, oblivious to the sinister doppelgänger beside it. "Sarah, look!" Emily cried. Sarah turned, her eyes widening in horror as she finally saw the malevolent reflection. What the? Before she could finish, the reflection of Emily reached out, its hand emerging from the glass and grabbing Sarah's wrist. Sarah screamed, trying to pull away, but the grip was unyielding. Emily watched in terror as her reflection began to step out of the mirror, its form becoming solid and real. "Run, Emily!" Sarah shouted, struggling against the grip. Emily hesitated, fear paralyzing her, but then she turned and fled the room, Sarah's screams echoing in her ears. She ran down the hall, her heart pounding, and burst out the front door, racing to her car. She fumbled with the keys, finally starting the engine and speeding away, tears streaming down her face. Emily drove aimlessly, her mind in turmoil. She needed help, but who would believe her? She finally parked in an empty lot, trying to collect her thoughts. She pulled out her phone and called the police, but her words sounded hysterical even to her own ears. "A reflection came out of my mirror and attacked my friend," she blurted out. The dispatcher, clearly skeptical, promised to send someone to check it out. Emily knew they wouldn't understand, but she had no other choice. She sat in her car, waiting, fear and guilt gnawing at her. Hours passed before she could gather the courage to return to her apartment. When she arrived, the place was eerily quiet. The police had come and gone, leaving no sign of disturbance. Her bedroom door was open, the mirror standing as it had before, but there was no sign of Sarah. "Sarah?" Emily called out, her voice trembling. No answer. She stepped closer to the mirror, dread filling her. The reflection was gone, just an empty room staring back at her. Emily's heart sank. Where had it taken Sarah? And where was her sinister double? As if in response to her thoughts, a voice whispered from behind her. "Looking for me?" Emily spun around to see her doppelgänger standing there, a perfect replica of herself, but with an expression of pure malice. "What have you done with Sarah?" Emily demanded. The doppelgänger smiled. "Sarah is where she belongs, and soon, you will be too. This life is mine now." Emily backed away, her mind racing. She had to stop this creature, but how? Desperation gave her courage, and she grabbed a nearby lamp, swinging it at the doppelgänger. It shattered on impact, but the reflection didn't flinch. "Violence won't save you," it taunted. "Your life is mine." In a final act of desperation, Emily lunged for the mirror, hoping to shatter it and end the nightmare. But as her fingers touched the glass, a force pulled her through, and everything went black. Emily awoke in a place that felt wrong, a twisted version of her own apartment. Everything was dark, shadowy, and distorted. She realized with horror that she was inside the mirror, trapped in the reflection world. She wandered through this nightmarish version of her home, trying to find a way out. The air was thick and heavy, making it hard to breathe. Time seemed to stand still, and the silence was deafening. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper. "Emily." She followed the sound, hope flickering in her heart. It led her to a room she recognized as her own, but everything was reversed. There, huddled in a corner, was Sarah. "Sarah!" Emily cried, rushing to her friend. Sarah looked up, her face pale and haunted. "Emily! Is it really you?" "Yes, it's me," Emily said, hugging her friend. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know this would happen. We need to find a way out of here." Sarah replied, her voice shaking. Emily had an idea. "We need to use the mirror again. If it brought us here, it has to be able to take us back." They returned to the place where Emily had entered, standing before the mirror. Emily touched the glass, willing it to let them through, but nothing happened. "It's not working," Sarah said, panic rising. Emily pounded on the mirror. "I don't know how to make it work," she cried, her voice trembling with desperation. "I have an idea." Sarah said. Maybe we need to act like our reflections. Do what we would normally do when looking into the mirror, but backwards. They stood before the mirror, mimicking their real-world selves as best as they could. Slowly, the glass began to ripple, and they felt a pull, like an invisible hand drawing them in. With a final, desperate effort, they stepped through the mirror and tumbled back into Emily's bedroom. They were back in the real world, but something was wrong. The room was cold and dark, the atmosphere oppressive. Emily's doppelganger stood by the door, a look of fury on its face. "You can't escape that easily," it hissed. Emily knew they had one chance. She grabbed a shard of the broken lamp and lunged at the doppelganger, plunging it into its chest. The creature screamed, its form flickering like a disturbed reflection. "No," it cried, writhing in pain. Sarah joined in, grabbing another shard and attacking. Together, they overpowered the doppelganger, its form disintegrating with each blow. Finally, with one last scream, it shattered into a million pieces, vanishing into the air. The room seemed to brighten, the oppressive atmosphere lifting. Emily and Sarah collapsed, exhausted but relieved. "Is it over?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling. "I think so," Emily replied, hoping it was true. They destroyed the mirror, smashing it into tiny fragments and disposing of every piece. Emily moved out of the apartment, unable to bear the memories of what had happened. She and Sarah tried to move on, but the experience left scars that would never fully heal. Emily never visited another estate sale. The allure of old treasures had lost its charm, replaced by the haunting memory of a mirror that almost stole her life. And though the mirror was gone, she sometimes caught glimpses of movement in reflective surfaces, a reminder that some things are better left undiscovered. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling tales. Until next time, stay safe and beware of the darkness.